Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 as always. But if you look on the bottom left hand side, you can see it says realistic performance. And if you look to the right, you can see which car we are in. Because today we are going to try the Haas on realistic performance online. Something I haven't thought about doing ever, actually. In fact, only until I've just really been focusing on their performance in real life F1. I really wanted to see how it performs on the game. And to give a little example of how bad this car potentially is on the game, we're going to do a lap in a Mercedes around Portimao. And I probably should have used the Red Bull, because the Red Bull was actually a fair bit faster than the Mercedes, so the difference is actually going to be even bigger if we do a decent lap. And this Mercedes lap wasn't particularly done very well either, whereas the Haas lap, which you'll see after this, I think was actually a pretty solid lap. Couldn't really squeeze out that much more time. So we're running the same setups, and the aim is to try and win a race in a 5-lapper with the Haas on realistic performance, because unlike career mode, sorry to people who love that, and although it might be improved this year, you can definitely manipulate the AI by just diving down the inside of them and they will just move out the way for you. But against real people, I can promise you that is not the case. So we're going to do it against real people, against some very, very fast ones as well in these lobbies, and we're going to just see how possible it even is to try and win a race in the Haas. So that was a 16.4 in the Mercedes, so a pretty solid lap there, but I think it would be in the high 15s on an even better lap and with the Red Bull. But now we're on the Haas. We did 320 kilometers per hour going down the straight in the Mercedes, but I think it's really the apex speed where you'll find the biggest difference. So going through to here, doing this pretty well. I think our first sector in the Mercedes was a 21.7. So we'll see what this first sector is, and really looks like a pretty decent sector, to be honest here. So let's see what it is. But it's a 22.4. So just under 7 tenths. 6 of the big tenths slower in the first sector. So that already gives you an idea of really how this is going to go. And as I said, with the Red Bull, I think we would be in the high 15s as well. And this lap with the Haas, I thought was a pretty decent lap, maybe like a 10th or 2 tenths on a very, very good one, almost near perfect one, potentially. Hooking this inside pretty well. You can see the car wants to snap away, but overall the car just doesn't feel difficult to control. It's just shit everywhere, if I'm being honest. It's just not good. It's just slow down the straights, hasn't got much grip, not that much response. It's just bad everywhere. And you can see an 18.4 that time, so over 2 seconds slower than what we did in the Mercedes. So yeah, that gives you a bit of an insight. So moving back to this now, this is on a random grid. First time we're going to try this. We're starting 15th, which is very, very generous of the game to do that. So as the lights go out now, let's see what we can do. So all realistic cars, remember. So the Red Bull is going to be the fastest, then by the Mercedes. The Haas is going to be the slowest. That's at least what it was for me. Going to its absolute carnage. You see that AlphaTauri? I have no idea what he was doing, but we got up into top 10. We're trying to go down the inside. Ferrari just turns in like we don't exist. Very delirious, and it's delirious of it. Let's see the McLaren going around here, and you can already see the straight out speed is a big disadvantage. So go down the inside. The McLaren and this Aston Martin coming to big blows, but we're actually into P6, so a promising start so far. So that's been quite a bit coming into here. You could already feel that, especially this corner, just the understeer was just like driving an oil tanker through there, and that will definitely be a trend going through this video, which you can see is going to be a long one, because I want to show you really just the full experience of this. And you guys seem to enjoy it as well. So moving back into here, we're into P6 behind the Red Bull. So behind the fastest car that should be around here, and you can just see the grip and acceleration that car has on realistic performance against this. It's just absolutely unreal. It's just like the straight line speed and acceleration of this car is just very, very poor. And then it just has so much understeer as well. But you can see this Ferrari, despite it's using the overtake, is just closing in, and we've lost so much time to the Red Bull up ahead. It is just very, very unfair as he's coming to blows with this Aston Martin again. He really likes to try and get his elbows out, almost losing the car there, but we live to fight another day. But I'm just going to keep going like I do with my hot lap and setups, or trying to set world records, which will be coming back next week as well. So let me know what track you really want me to focus on for that. But I'm just always just going to try and see how it goes throughout the 5 laps and really just take it from there. So I need to get a sense of how bad this car actually is. You can see again, just the understeer, missing the apex by a mere miles. But we are actually closing in on this Aston Martin. And I am using my Portimao setup, which I use as an AlphaTauri and an Alpine, has really come together there. But we're into P4 now. But we do have I think that's a Ferrari on our outside. So let's see what the straight line speed is going to be like coming through down into here, as this Alpine is, the AlphaTauri is coming back once again. So I'm using all of my overtake just so that Ferrari can't get past me. So we're going to let the AlphaTauri get this. We're hitting the back of him, trying to get down the inside for this next corner. Do we outbrake him? He leaves us some room on this inside as well. We're going to go try, maybe go around the outside, get the switchback with the DRS. What's our straight line speed? It looks like he is lagging a little bit. It's because of a cluster of cars behind us as well. So we're causing quite a big trade already here. And now we're back into P4 as yeah, the Aston Martin is loving just tangling with people here at the moment. But now I saw this as an opportunity to try and maybe catch the car up ahead. But you can see I think it's the 2 Red Bulls, a P1, P2. They are just absolutely gone as well, as we're running out of track here, getting our first invalidation. And the understeer in this car is just, if you just don't hit your line, your racing line, like I think coming through here, did we hit it with this corner? No, we hit it there that time. But if you don't hit your spot you need to on the track, the car isn't going to go where you want it to go, as Turin Bag does an 18.5. Let's see what we do come across the line. It's a 20.4. It's a 1.9 seconds slower than what he is doing. So we're going to stay on board for the rest of this race, and especially this lap, because I think I'm just going to try and push to see how fast I can actually go here. Trying to keep the cars behind me out of the DRS zone, and maybe try and make some inroads into cars up ahead. So we're 6 tenths up on our previous lap. So this is definitely a much better lap now. And you can see we're still using that 710 wing as I'm using in that Portimao world record attempt video. Coming through it here, doing this very nicely. And we actually are catching the 2 cars up ahead as well. So I think for a realistic performance, we're actually driving very well, much tighter to this inside this time. And you can see still 6 tenths up on our previous lap. Do we hit the curb on this inside? Yes, we do. We managed to hook that round very nicely. But it doesn't like, you can see here, we missed the apex by an absolute mile there. And if you do that in this car, it's just going to wash away so quickly. It is insane. But coming across the line, what's in what lap time we do? It's a 19.6, so 8/10 improvement, but still over a second down on what the Red Bull is doing. And to give you a bit of a reference as well, my best time I've done in the Red Bull in a 5-lapper is a 16.7, 16.7, almost 0.8. So still quite a bit slower that I am able to do with the equal cars. See, we actually are trying to close in these cars up ahead. One of them has a 5-second penalty The other has a 2-second penalty, so we could even pull off a top 2 here in a Haas, which would actually be a very, very good start. This is my first lobby that I ever did as STN Jensen, I think that was, or someone else. He did a 17, so that's more like it, what you're looking for here. We can see we're closing right up to the back of these guys. No threat from behind as well. You can see the leader is pretty much almost going across the line now. So hitting our apex this time, but it's just that initial acceleration. It's like they're using that a hacker car as Turenbag does a 17.8. I think we are going to improve on our lap time. What are we going to do here? It's a 19.4, so still a long way off, and we actually get P2 in our first lobby, so that actually gave me a bit of hope that we could do this. But I thought with a random grid it's probably going to be very, very difficult to get a P1 because we were about 11 seconds behind, so it's well over 2 seconds of that average. So we set it to reverse grid, so the realistic performance, so it should be putting the slowest cars up front. So let's put a Williams on pole, but it's very, very random. Sometimes it is a Haas, it's a Williams or Alfa Romeo here, but we get a very, very good start, and we're taking no prisoners here. So we're just going to try and pull away as much as we can, because all the fast cars, the Red Bulls and Mercedes, they're going to be at the back. So the goal now is to try and create as big a gap as possible before they come through the field here. But the problem is we have quite a few fast drivers as well, and it's not just those cars to worry about, it's also the McLarens, the Alpines. That's pretty much any car really, other than the Alfa Romeo and Williams, where I feel I can maybe have a bit more raw speed than those drivers. Every other car is going to be a pretty difficult task. So we're doing the job at the moment. We're going 1 second over the DRS zone. You can see that chronic understeer once again, but I really did like these sequence of corners, really hustling the car through here as much as I can. And I'm always keeping an eye on this mini-map because I can see, I think there is a Red Bull right at the very back, so I thought this might be an option. But there is a Mercedes of ERS Hamilton already in P4 here. But you're looking down the straight, this car is just so in a straight line. You look at this apex speed, if you look at the Delta still, we're just losing time hand over fist. It just doesn't feel bad to drive, but it's just very bad at everything. It's just very, very slow. I don't really lose the control of the car that much, but it's just poor everything. It's got very poor power, just poor direction change, just so much understeer, particularly going through corners such as this, having to go down for 5th gear for these corners, and this one here as well. It just never ever wants to hit the apex at all. But we do have NRX Chasler behind, who I know is a very, very fast driver. I think he is in a Alpine, if I'm not mistaken. You can see again, particularly in that corner, the car really, really struggles to try and stay on track, missing this apex. So this is exactly not what we wanted. Coverage here, missing this apex again. You just have to be so precise in this car, otherwise it would just punish you so much more. Which is why in real life, if the cars are fast like Mercedes, Red Bull, you can afford to make more mistakes and still get a good result, because the car will help you. But in cars such as this, I think people need to be given a lot more credit, especially in real F1, because it must be an absolute nightmare having to drive on the ragged edge all the time. Because see, we do have a Chastity. He has closed in a little bit, but not that much, so our pace is seeming to be quite good. We do have people in P4, P5 who have penalties as well, so it's really Chasta and Veloce Dragon in the Alpine who I race with on a regular basis. I'd say normally I have about maybe half a second in the tank than him per lap, so for him to be closing in, that just shows really this car is not a particularly good car to drive. But I'm just trying my best to stay out of the DRS zone of Chasta. We're quite good through this corner, so if we hit the curb down here, as we do very, very nicely, you can see by Delta we actually gain time going through that corner, hitting this apex very well. You can see it's almost 1 second, but using the overtake on the exit, and the detection point is here, and you can see he is 1,000th behind. So that's actually very, very crucial if you want a chance to win this race, because next lap is going to be the last lap of the race here. So he does an 18.6, we do it at 19.6, so exactly pretty much 1 second difference, and we have about 30% ERS available. So if I could maybe let him go into the straight of the last lap and re-overtake him, I think we have enough maybe in sector 2 and 3 to actually keep him behind, because it's really just down that main straight where we just lose so much time. You can see he has comfortably got within the DRS zone now, but going through these seekers, of course, I feel we actually have decent pace going through here. So if you look at the delta, it is actually going up just slightly, so he's not going to be close enough for a move here. Do have about 40% of the ERS, so if you want to win this race, we're really going to have to try and let him go going down this main straight, because once he gets ahead, I think it's going to be a pretty impossible task. So I think it's really, he's the only threat, but I think he can probably suss what I am trying to do here. So we're going very, very wide. He isn't taking the bait, so we just absolutely just step on it, try and catch him off guard and use all of our ERS, because if we were hanging around too long, then we'll go be victim to Veloce Dragon. So you can see the gap is quite big going down this straight here, but the straight line speed is just too much. There's nothing we could do. We're going to try and scare him offline, so we're going to go side by side into here. I'm so desperate to try and win in this car here, because I don't think I'll get many better opportunities than this, as the Red Bull sets the fastest lap. We have another opportunity, so now it is now or never. So go around the outside in the Haas on the Alpine here. What happens on the exit? Not left much room, but they rectangle a little bit, and that is the race over. And I had to go for that move, otherwise, yeah, we would not have won that race. So that was actually so gutting, because I thought that was one of my best chances to win in this car. But we kept on persisting, never ever give up, as I say. And we're still keeping it on random grid, reversed realistic performance. So sometimes it puts an Alfa Romeo, sometimes it puts a Haas, and sometimes it puts a Williams on pole. But I can confirm the Haas is the slowest car. I really can confirm that. But we get a pretty decent start once again. But we do have the Slapbus X1, who is a fairly fast driver, up ahead of me. But I felt like, yeah, we should be able to beat him here. So we're just going to try and get in the DRS zone. We've got a decent gap behind without any of the real fast cars up into the top 5 already. So again, I saw this as a pretty big opportunity, but you will find as we continue, he just had that little bit more speed. So the Alfa Romeo just has that bit more, especially in a straight line on the exit of corners. Is absolutely crucial at this point in the 5 lap, but that we get within the DRS zone. But you can see we've gone very, very wide, missing that apex again. This car's performance is just absolutely horrible. It really, really is here. And see, going through two, you can see I think there's a Red Bull at the back, so no real threat from any of the other faster cars. But we're just going to miss out on this DRS zone, and that was the thing. We managed to close up for the end of this race, but it's not going to be enough at all. And there's another race where we're going to come home in P2. So a challenge that I thought wouldn't be too difficult is starting to show of how difficult I think it actually is, because of how bad this car really is. And funny enough, one of our best performances where it was on random grid. So we're going to start again, and every time I kept starting, I kept getting pushed back more and more. So we always kept on getting very, very good starts going down into this turn 1. Let's see what we can do here on this occasion. So we're in P5. We're going to try and follow this Alfa Romeo through, because I did feel I had the beating of the Alfa Romeos. If I could get right up behind them here. So we really have to try and put as much distance between us and the fast cars as possible. So go right round the outside, just missing that Williams very, very narrowly. Still in P5, getting some good traction. Trying to go down the inside of this other Williams as well, as I think we're just about to do successfully. It's a very, very awkward corner to overtake, almost losing the car, and we're just getting swallowed up by everyone else here. And you can already just see the lead that the leaders have. And I think the Haas, my teammate, is actually in the lead. This guy is really not wanting to give up position at all. Getting a little bit argy-bargy now coming through into here. And yeah, this race is pretty much done in itself as well, because if you want a chance to win in this car, you're going to have to be in the lead and having that few seconds advantage. But you can see we've got an Aston Martin behind us. Let's see what his straight line speed is going to be, as these guys are got their red lights flashing. So we're going to go around the outside, try to get the racing line. So I'm just going to try and let them go deep into the corner and get it on the switchback to this guy. We're trying to get one of them. We haven't managed to get one of them. Now we've got Full Octane Dragon up ahead of us here. So into P5, and my teammate was leading the race with the Alfa Romeo. You can see there's already a fairly big gap. So I was trying my best to bring myself back into this race, but I do think we have a Red Bull in P7, as this Williams, I noticed, was a tad aggressive in this hobby. Wasn't enjoying being overtaken. So my teammate has a 19.6, so he's actually quite fast as well in this Haas car. But we're going to move on to the end of the race, and we just weren't able to close it in quick enough. And that is another race, and you can see the disappointment is starting to build up very, very slowly. But we move on to another race. We're into P2 with this Williams. We're going to try and go down the inside of him, but a very, very lazy attempt of an overtake, and we come off worse there. And that is another race that is completely in the book. So we keep on going. We keep on trying. Starting P3 this time, and this is one of the best starts that I've had. Such a good start. Such good traction off the line here. Not leaving any room on this exit, because I can't afford to be nice to people. If I want to try and win this with a Haas, I've got to try and be as fast as I possibly can. So we've got a good start this time. So this is doing everything that we need to do here. So we've got a 7/10 gap, and it's just all about trying to increase that gap outside the DRS zone as quick as we possibly can. So I was feeling quite optimistic in this race here. And you can see we're pushing quite hard to get out of the DRS zone, which we have already done. So this is looking a bit more promising this time. The more races I did in this car, the more I was getting used to it as well. But you can see Turan Bag in the Red Bull, 3.3 seconds behind. He's already up into P5 from the back. So that was a very, very frustrating thing for me to see. So we're going to hope that he gets held in a little bit of traffic. But you can already see by the delta in the straight line, we're just losing so much time going down the straight here. So we're going to keep on pushing as hard as we can. We don't even go into 8th gear because we're not even hitting the very end of the rev limiter in this car here. So I was just keeping an eye on that top left of the screen to see where the Red Bull is going to be, and you can see he's up into P3 now. So managed to get 2 cars in that first sector alone. See, the gap is about 2.6, 2.7. Let's see what it is towards the end of this lap, because I think the guy in second is in a Williams as well. So we can see we're pushing very, very hard here. I'm just trying to give it everything that I possibly can, because I was just starting to feel very, very drained of always being so close, but yet so far all the time. You can see he's gained about another half a second on me. The Red Bull just going for it. Millisector missing this apex again here. Let's see what's going to be towards the end of the straight for this Delta, because he should be able to get past the Williams pretty comfortably. So we're going to be using a lot of our ERS to try and create as big a gap as possible, because if he can close only 2 seconds in one lap or something, then we should be going to the last lap with at least maybe a chance. You can see it's a 1 second difference this time. Coming down the straight, he's actually into P2 now, so the gap is 1.6 seconds. So I'm going to try my best to keep him out of this DRSO, but I think it's going to be a pretty impossible task. Coming through into here, we're just giving it everything, and it's just so horrible to drive this car of how bad it is at absolutely everything. And you can see he's already 1.2 seconds behind, so I think it's going to be pretty much impossible to keep him out of this DRS zone. And I was starting to think of maybe doing the same strategy as I did with the other car, and maybe trying to let him go, but he's going to have 2 laps to get past me. Unless he makes an absolute catastrophic mistake, then I don't think it's anything we're going to do. But in a nutshell, this challenge is very, very hard to do, I think. Because I feel I'm very, very fast around Portimao. And yeah, it's really, I don't think, unless it depends who you're driving against, of course, but it's very dependent on who you drive. But really, you're going to be giving, if you and another guy at a similar level, it's going to be around about 2 seconds or so a lap. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very tough one. As Red Bull doesn't actually overtake me going down the straight, so I think he's just playing a few little games with me. Don't think he's in a particular rush to get past here, so he's giving me a little bit of a false hope, annoyingly. But we're still going to do everything we can. He might maybe pick up a 2 second penalty, so those are all the things that are factoring into my mind right now. But you can see on the exit of here, we get a pretty decent exit, and I think again he is just sandbagging here, just acting like he doesn't have the pace. But you will see going through this last sector, he's already closed up 3/10 going through into that corner alone. I'm just going to give it everything I possibly can now, and I was hoping maybe if I had enough of a gap down the straight to negate him from actually overtaking me. So we're going to punch it here. He wasn't close enough for me to let go, because I think he would just carry that speed, and then there was no way we would have been able to overtake him. So we're just desperately trying to keep ahead of this Red Bull, and I think you can see by my face the nod of disapproval. That was just so frustrating, so close yet again. Unless he makes a major mistake now, it's going to be another P2 in this Haas, and I was starting to lose the will to live. And we come across the line, it's going to extend that gap by a second, and yeah, very, very frustrating. But we decided to give it one more effort now, and it's reverse grid once again. So trying to get a good start, as we always do here. So we get a really good start here. As I said, not leaving any room here, because I just cannot afford to be doing that. I get a little love tap from the guy behind, but we managed to go through that unscathed. So this is my last attempt. I'm going to give it absolutely everything now. We actually get a pretty decent advantage, so I think this is the best advantage that we've had so far at this stage. But we do have Veloce Dragon, who is in the Alpine, and he's going to be a pretty difficult person to keep behind. You can see we just don't care at the moment. We're just going to push as hard as we possibly can, desperately trying to get out of this DRS zone. Going through into here. Let's see how we do this corner. Not leaving any room on the table here. See, the gap is still about 7/10 of a second. What can we do going through into these last corners? These are probably my strongest corners. You can see the delta has gone up going through into here, but again, just the performance of this car. So we're going to be using our overtake, or maybe not. We're actually going to be conserving this time, but we've got a 6/10 gap of a second here. But as we cross the line, the game said that we have won this race. And I am just going to take that all day. That is a glitch that always happens online. But with the amount of efforts I've been trying to do, I'm not going to complain about that. And you can see we finally have a smile on my face. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for the support on the channel. Join my YouTube membership if you want access to setups or first priority invites to these lobbies by clicking the join button. Thank you for the support, and I will be catching you very, very soon. Peace.